the thing is that in HR, I always tell people that you can do everything well. You can do compensation well, you can do performance well, you can do rewards well, you can do employee experience well, you can take care of employee engagement, learning and development. But one thing, if you don't do well, everything is wiped out, and that thing is hiring. So recruitment is the bedrock. It's like this, right? First, you have to pass the class, and then you need to think about getting honors, distinction, or topping the class. So recruitment is the foundation on which everything in HR is built. So you need to get recruitment right. I've been doing recruitment for about 3 decades. As long as I remember, I have hired, whether it be campus hiring, juniors. These days, I do leadership hiring. I sometimes hire CEOs, and the principles, the basic principles remain the same. So I was very uncomfortable doing the recruitment virtually in COVID times, because I think there's a 3-dimensional view of the person that you get when you meet a person. You don't marry a person virtually, right? You need to meet a person to look at the person. So I always used to say that when you want to hire, you need to meet the person, gauge the person, pose a few questions, but I was so wrong. Around 2 years back, my CEO told me that let's do touchless hiring. Let there be no human involved. So I thought he was joking, right? How can you do just touchless hiring? That means from the time you get a CV, shortlist the CV, assess the CV, make an offer, close an offer, there has to be no human intervention. And I was thinking, how is this possible? So I told him, you must be joking, right? And my CEO was not joking. He was extremely serious. He said, if AI could do this, what can do? I tried to bring AI to my daily life. So recently I was in Europe, and in Europe I had the weekend off, which was in Switzerland, because in between works. So I said to ChatGPT that plan my itinerary. I have 2 days and I have $200, 200 euros. I don't want to spend more time, and I'm 57 years old. So tell me what I should be doing. And you'll be so surprised they planned my itinerary. And I said, hey, then I told ChatGPT, this looks good, but I don't do scuba diving. Is there something else you can suggest? What I did was, I said, let me do this experiment. I followed ChatGPT. So it said, get up in the morning, go and do this. And third or fourth point was that in Zurich, you must go to the zoo. And I was like, I'm not a 5-year-old baby, right? What will I do in the zoo all my life? And in my childhood, they used to take it to Chatbir Zoo, right? I don't know if you've been to Chatbir Zoo in near Chandigarh. And then when I grew up, we went to this, but I've never been to zoo. So I said, let me do the zoo. And the ticket was around 15, 20 euros, which is a lot of money. But I said, but it was an outstanding zoo. I have never seen such a zoo. And I was like, oh my God, this is what. So ChatGPT was so right on planning my itinerary. Then I realized if you can trust ChatGPT with so much, what should I be doing? What should ChatGPT be doing, or the artificial intelligence be doing? And right. So I took some baby steps. I'm a very cautious person, and I still don't have an Apple Watch. So I embrace technology with a caution, and all the technologies so I asked ChatGPT, why don't you write a JD for an HR manager? And I gave to one person who had joined me from top-notch college in India, an HR person, to write a JD. I'm so sorry to say, but the ChatGPT JD was so much better. It was realistic. It had the company thing. It had the people thing. And I was like, oh my God. So it's high time that we talk about what AI and recruitment can go together. And I didn't want to give you just, some slides, some fundamentals. I wanted to do it from practitioner's point of view because you all are going to be practitioners, everybody here. You all will start watching it. You'll all start talking about it. Before I start, I just wanted to ask the audience here if they have any question or any remark about their experience with artificial intelligence in their day-to-day job. Anybody, if you have any experience, I'll be happy to listen to your experience or in your life. Yeah, that is true, Shannon. It makes sense what you were trying to do. Uh, I'm sure it helped you a lot, and sometimes the knowledge, we overrate the knowledge we have. Sometimes the combined knowledge of the world and combined wisdom of the world is much better than that. I have even asked ChatGPT about medicines and other things, so though you should not follow it, but this advice has been really good about it. Now everybody is using bot. So HDFC, I used to go and check my balance, then I started doing it by Google Pay. Now HDFC has a bot on WhatsApp, which I can chat about my balance and other things. So I think the world has moved on. It's high time HR and recruitment also moves on. Thank you. So we are going to talk a lot more on AI-powered recruitment and what does it teach us and how does AI-powered recruitment come in place. I think if you ask me, the life of a recruitment person. So let's say you are a recruiter. So what do? You read a job description, you go to LinkedIn, Naukri, or any other medium or any other portal you have, and you source CVs. And then you check the CVs that you have, whether they required number of experiences, whether they have the skills, kind of companies the person has worked in, kind of education qualification you have. And a recruiter on an average, let's talk of a tech recruiter, on an average one recruiter hires 200 people. When a recruiter hires 200 people, it means that the recruiter is looking about 20,000 CVs in a month, right? And imagine there's no technology, so the recruiter gets the CVs. And imagine that there's a paper and a pencil, and he goes over the CVs. He makes two piles, one for matches, one for does not match. So the recruiter takes this pile of CVs that do not match into a corner. Then he takes the matching CVs to the hiring manager. Now these CVs, when the recruiter takes to the hiring manager looks at the CVs and says yes, no, yes, no. So let's say out of 20,000 CVs, 10,000 or 15,000 recruiter, he, she, they or them have filtered out. After that, we are left with about 5,000. These 5,000 CVs are taken to different hiring managers and they like about 2,000. So we have narrowed the chance to 2,000. Then the recruiter starts speaking to those people, right? Are you interested? What is the salary you are expecting? Then those 2,000 get shortlisted to about 1,000 or 500. Then they come for first level of HR interview where they get filtered to 500. Out of those 500, and this process approximately takes a month, right? A month. While the person who has resigned, who was a billable resource, the company stops making money on that. Imagine if I had a tool, a black box of a tool, wherein the CVs come and offers go out. Imagine if that magic were to happen. How will that happen? And this is what we are going to talk in today's class. How will we make the magic happen? So what we are trying to do, we are trying to automate whatever is, for example, if I look at the person and ask about his success and failure, and I have to ask a probing question, that I think technology cannot do. If I have to figure out the person is telling the truth or lies from the body language, it's slightly difficult for a technology to do, but it will get there. Also, the scale. So imagine 20,000 resumes, and if a person, because imagine it's a company, so we call it recruitment productivity. Recruitment productivity is how many candidates can one recruiter recruit. Higher the productivity, higher the efficiency. Remember, recruiter is a non-billable resource, right? It's like this. In our houses, we have helpers, right? So imagine that I have a helper who cooks for me, and she wants to get another helper who cuts the vegetables, and the person who cuts the vegetable gets another helper who washes the vegetables. So I will not employ so many people. Why will I not employ so many people? Because I have to run the house in my limited salary. Similarly, the recruitment needs to be very efficient. Also, we need to predict what kind of people are successful and what kind of people are not successful, right? So my experience has to do. So I have to reduce time. I also have to reduce, let's say there's a South Indian Tamilian guy and he keeps on recruiting South Indian Tamilian people. So he wants to get more of his people. Or there's a lady from, let's say, UK. She wants to get more and more UK people into this. So we have to make it extremely impartial. The best person, not the person that the hiring manager likes, prefers, or is partial to, or is a favorite, but the best person gets hired. So today, you and I will discover how artificial intelligence is actually transforming. Imagine that a world where there's no concept of a recruiter. There's no recruitment person at all. Imagine that world, and that is the future of hiring that we are going to talk about. So, we are saying, in short, anything that is repetitive, that doesn't require human cognitive thinking, should become machine learning or artificial intelligence, machine intelligence. We should get fast, we should become very fast, and we should be able to increase the quality. So we're talking of cost, time, and quality. These are the three factors that you always have to keep in mind while using artificial intelligence. So far, so good. Anybody having small doubts, question, anything that you want to ask, tell, comment, share? I hate it when I come to know that my job is being taken away by a machine. So earlier it was like plants. Now even HR jobs are going away. So I hate it. But I'm also getting older, right? So I don't have to worry. Maybe you guys who are younger will have to worry a lot more about it. Moving on. So I hope that this is clear to everybody and you understood clearly what it means and what is the expectation from there. So imagine that you got a magic wand and you're using artificial intelligence to recruit seamlessly. So what are you going to do? What exactly is going to happen? So you use artificial intelligence, tell artificial intelligence, I want to recruit a sales manager for Chandigarh in a pharma company like Dr. Reddy's with a revenue of the region 20 million. Can you please write a job description? So step one, right? So the AI tool, whichever, so if you're using any other open AI or any other tool, will write down the job description of the person. Then once AI has written the job description, remember it's machine learning, so it keeps on learning. You refine the job description. Maybe you need to say this more, say that more, use this template. Again, you get a job description. So you need to teach the machine, but I think about 5 iterations, the machine gets it. The machine gets exactly what we are going to talk about, right? And then, so once the job description is written by the machine, then you ask the chat GPT, sorry, not the chat GPT, artificial intelligence software, that please do worming in the net You can give access to LinkedIn, Naukri, or any other medium that you want. And most of the AI softwares today integrate with everything. So we integrate the software with everything and say, find me candidates. Do you know how much time it will take? Any idea? How much time will the machine take for coming up with a candidate? Any idea? Immediately. Mansi, perfect answer. This is a very good answer. I'm just saying. Arjun, that is a very good point. There could be a difficult disadvantage of AI. The point is that artificial intelligence by itself is not smart. I always say that artificial intelligence needs to have a learning cycle. So if you don't give an artificial intelligence learning cycle to learn, then you will not get a perfect answer. And sometimes you can end up making a big blunder also. So we always say that we need to be careful about that. That is the biggest disadvantage. Second disadvantage is believing the artificial intelligence in case of recruitment too early, till the time it has not learned. Third is till the time the first cycle, step one is to make the AI software learn. Step two is to make sure with human intervention that you do parallel steps and correct if necessary. Step three is you hand over. So anything that is mildly cognitive or is not in the algorithm, you will be at huge disadvantage using AI. Shannon, your question: what indicators can best predict candidate success? So there are many competencies that we use for predicting the success of a candidate. What we try to do in HR is that we define jobs to be done. So jobs the person is doing. Once we say that these are 5 jobs that the person does, those become indicators to predict the success. One thing we always have to remember: when we hire somebody, we hire them not for today, but for future. So when we are interviewing anybody, we should be very careful that if the person cannot grow, please don't hire the person. And to your question, the best indicator, the best sign of success among all candidates across senior or junior is called something called learning agility. The speed at which the person can learn and adapt. A lot of people don't learn, don't change fast. So they fail immediately. It could be senior, junior, middle. It could be manufacturing, sales, R&D, anywhere. Technology. If a person has low learning agility is the best predictor of a success of a candidate. Arjun, to your question, any repercussions of by using AI? Yes. First repercussion is your HR department will become very smaller. So most of the HR people will not be needed. So if Chitkara is going ahead and having 100 HR people thinking that everybody will get hired, maybe 50 will get hired. But there's a time to it. It is not going to happen in the near future, right? Mansi, thank you. So the time, my question was that the time that it takes for a person to for AI software to take out resumes based on job description, it is immediate. Yes. In few nanoseconds, you will get required resumes into your quarter. So one of the things that we have to be very objective whenever we are going to use AI is that we need to have efficient and accurate screening of resumes. So we have to define what we call is in HR language, we call it CTQ. It is called critical to quality. Now, let me tell you, when you go to buy something, let's say, give me an example of anything that you buy on a daily basis. Anybody can write in the chat an example. of something that you buy on a daily basis or you need to go to the market and buy? Any example comes to your mind? Anybody? Milk, great. Arjun, that's a great example. Milk we buy every day. So every day, either the middleman comes or we go. So what are the CTQ for milk? What is critical to quality for milk? First is that you need to know quantity. So let's say we need one packet, half a liter milk. So CTQ parameters are 4 or 5 parameters that are essential for you to know before you either hire or buy anything. So first, want to know is how much milk. So half a liter. Second, you need to know you need a packet or open, right? So let's say you need a packet of milk. Third, you want to know it's a low fat, high fat, full cream, what kind of milk, right? That's the third criteria. Fourth criteria is you need fresh or of yesterday. So you need fresh. Fifth criteria is brand. Do you need Verka, Vita, or do you need Amul, right? These are 5 criteria when you buy milk. Similarly, when you hire a person, we say something called CTQ. These are critical to quality parameters that you use at the time of hiring. I'll give you an example. And let's stay with the HR example only. We need to hire an HR manager. What are 5 criteria? 5, I'm just saying 5. It could be 6, it also could be 4. A, we need somebody from tier 1 institute. Second, the person should have 3 to 5 years of experience. Third, the person should have recruitment experience. It's not important for a person to have any experience. You need to have recruitment experience. Fourth, the person should be able to do tech hiring. What kind of recruitment experience? Tech hiring. Fifth is the person should know India and overseas hiring. So these are critical to quality parameters, 5 parameters. So CTQ parameters are nothing but your screening criteria. So we start having an efficient and accurate screening criteria for resumes, right? So this is a screening criteria that we always start using. Let's say if I'm hiring a salesperson, a sales manager in Chandigarh, what should be the screening criteria? Can you sit down and define the screening criteria? Any screening criteria that comes to your mind? Education, right, Arjun? Tenure of the last profile, tenure in the last profile. So we should not hire, very good, Dr. Roji. It means that we should not hire somebody who skips too many jobs, right? So one of the things that I'm very careful when it comes to hiring is I don't hire anybody whose average experience is less than 1.5 years. So somebody whose average experience in any company is less than 1.5 years, or sometimes 2 years, I do not try to hire. I do not hire a person, right? Sales experience, yes, we need to have a sales experience, but sales experience also has to be relevant, right? Okay. Then first is that, so this is something, do you need a human being to do it or can AI do it? Please type in your answers. To match CV with screening criteria, can AI do it or do we need a human being to do it? Kamal, very good. Relevant geographic because we need somebody who understands Chandigarh. Chennai person may not work in Chandigarh. Very good. Very excellent. So the question I am asking now is that do you think a human being needs to screen or is it possible for an AI software to screen? What do you think? Yes, AI will validate it also, but human being can validate it, right? That's what you meant, Arjun. Initially AI, afterwards Dr. Varun. That's a good answer indeed. So yes, Arjun, that is good. So we understand that we need human level validation. Do you know, some of you can drive a car? Some of you are able to drive a car. Do you drive a car? Anybody who drives a car? Yes, no? Great. So a lot of you can drive the car, right? So when we first learned driving, I used to look back like this, right? I never used to believe the rear view camera, right? I would always look back, validate that what the rear view camera is telling me is right or not. So I would always do it, right? Thank you, Shivangi. But as the time went by, I realized the rear view camera was right. I don't have to look back. The rear view mirror was right. But now there's a rear view cameras, right? In all the new cars that we have a great rear view screens, rear view cameras. Initially, when I was using rear view camera in my Fortuner, I always used to look back and see maybe it's not telling me the right thing. I would look and first I look in the camera, then I look in the mirror, then I look back, right? So I always used to validate. But how many of you validate that what rear view camera, do you still validate what rear view camera is telling you is right or not in a car? Anybody who still validates? Do you validate? Yes or no? Yeah, Himanshu, you don't do it. Good. Anybody else who still validates? So, yeah. So, great. So, we don't do it, right? We don't do it. I used to do it like very often, but similar is with AI. Once you're using it as a software, you don't validate it. You don't validate it. It's like when you lock a car, right? When you press a lock for the car, do you go and still check whether it's locked? You'll do it once, twice, but you know, if the sound has come ping, it means it's done, right? So similarly, you need to start believing the AI software on the recruitment criteria. I know the job is little cognitive, it requires skill, but it happens anyway, right? Uh, so then we do these match scores. So what are the match scores? Let's say we have 5 criteria. We score each candidate on each criteria. Then we need to decide which criteria should have a more weightage. It is like I don't know if you have heard of matrimonial, I don't know, shadi.com or bharatmatrimony.com. So you have these criteria, right? They give you your match of a mate, right? So now they have an inbuilt algorithm by which they know that maybe the girl is working or not working is not negotiable. Maybe they need to have a working woman. The boy is in India or America makes all the difference. But boy is 5'10" or 5'8", it may work, right? So that learning has already happened in the software. Similarly, for HR manager, we think tier 1 institute, maybe out of 20 people, we have only 2 people, but they don't meet other criteria. So will we reject all the candidates? No. We will look at all the criteria and we will assign them a weightage once. After that, the software itself will start learning and weightages, which is most important. Which is most important criteria. It should not be for us to say that this is important or this is not, right? I don't think you can see my camera. Then we need to also have to show, one of the things that I always hear in newspapers, right? So we say that this person has recruited his or her relative, right? This person has taken money from the candidates in a government job and they have recruited. For example, I always hear that in Punjab, if you want to become an inspector, you need to pay so much money, right? So the software doesn't take money, right? You can't bribe a software. The software doesn't take money. So how cool is that, right? Which means that we will not have any bribery. We will not have anything there. So have you heard of biases in hiring? Tell me, I wanted to understand from you. Have you guys heard of biases in hiring? So we hear the biases in hiring everywhere. We hear them in IES, we hear them in, let's say, a minister when the government gets changed. We hear this person was very close to Prime Minister Modi, so he got a ministry. We hear them in selection of teachers. We hear them in organizations. We hear people pushing for their candidates. There's bribery. There's so many things that happen. Imagine a world is fair, a world is honest. How is that possible when human biases will get removed? I'll tell you the biases that I have. I don't like people who come wearing torn jeans for an interview. So I almost have this bias of not selecting them. So what are the biases if you were the hiring manager or hiring person? What are the biases that you will experience? Can you write in a chat box what will be the major biases that you think you have or you may have? What are biases? It could be regional bias, it could be religion bias, it could be okay. Favorite, yes. I don't like people who talk too little, who say yes, no. I like people who like to talk, explain things nicely. So I have that bias. So I think I may be hiring very talkative people, and before you know, the whole organization will be full of talkative people. Yes, people do favor for someone. Yasin, very correct. It's absolutely correct. Arjun, people do play favorites. It's a very good point. Great. So moving on, how do we leverage AI? What do we do with AI and how do we leverage AI across recruitment? So in AI is to first is automative repetitive tasks. Second is sorry, did I miss something? No. Okay. So second one is that we do analyze data. There's so much data that we get. How do we continuously analyze data? So what we do is we start, how does it work? We get resume, we put it in Excel, selected, not selected. Tell me what happens. It happens that the same person applies 3 times and you end up interviewing the same person 3 times. So you do not have duplicacy in your data. You don't have duplicacy data while you get personalized insights. For example, there was a software that I was using that actually told me what kind of questions to ask. So probe this person. Let's say I hired a person who I don't think was good in communication. So they said probe this person on communication process. So actually gave me hints to ask things at interview. So AI-powered technology also speeds up manual processes. We said time, right? We said there. So basically, I'm talking about tools. They do the right job to right talent. The matching that AI can do for you, nobody else can do. And once you have right people in the right job, you make right teams for the company and you get results. So today I'll be talking to you about 6 processes. First is candidate engagement. Second is resume screening. Third process is candidate sourcing and matching. Fourth process is interviewing. Fifth is having diverse and inclusive candidates. Sixth is analytics. One of the things I want to talk about diversity and inclusivity here. And I had seen that we were not hiring enough women. And I was very surprised that we get equal resumes of women, but they never get hired. What is happening here? Right? So I started probing more that what is happening? Why are the women not getting hired? I understood that the job required a night shift and the hiring managers were very wary of employing women because they thought that they cannot work at night. Remember, this is an assumption that the hiring managers had. It is not that women can work or cannot work at night. It is the assumption that hiring manager had, right? And the hiring manager's assumptions sometimes don't work. So basically, what we are saying is that uh, the diversity and inclusion will increase. We will hire differently abled people. We'll hire transgenders. We'll hire more women. We will hire different nationalities, different regions. South Indians will hire North Indians if there's an artificial intelligence. And we will also get very rich analytics once we are using AI in recruitment. I'm going to pause here and ask if there are any questions or anything that you want to understand more. I can explain, go back and explain all over again. So how do we enhance? Did somebody type? So I'm assuming that whatever I'm saying is clear to everybody. So we are moving over to candidate engagement, right? How do we increase AI-based chatbots? So imagine that if my things by Amazon are not delivered, right? So what do? I chat with Amazon and say, this is not delivered. Can you find out where the package is? Amazon tells me where the package is. If I fly by Indigo, there's a bot that comes and says, give me your rate your flying experience. And then that gets boiled over to the people. Similarly, these intelligent assistant virtually give real-time answers. So let's say candidate asks, while the job is for Hyderabad, but is there a flexibility? Can I work out of Delhi? So the chatbot replies, yes, the job is out of Hyderabad, but I will come back to you within 2 working days whether there's flexibility. And unlike human beings, the chatbot replies because it's a software, it needs to get at that particular time with that particular way. I was recently in Greece, sorry, not Greece, Switzerland. So there was the trams, right? So in the board, there would be trams coming. This tram is coming in 1 minute, in 30 seconds, and tram used to come at that time, right? So it's like an artificial intelligence. They are programmed in a way with the buffers built in that they can do. So the virtual assistants can also conduct initial screening, ask about expectation that the person has. So one of the ways why people don't get hired is because the salary negotiations break down. What if we had to have an artificial bot doing those explanations? It will be really useful how we can do it. Next, moving on. By using artificial intelligence, the candidate experience. So a lot of times companies, have you guys heard of companies saying that we will get back to you? Has anybody heard? We'll get back to you. What do you think it means when companies tell people that they'll get back to them? Do people get back?
This means they will never get back.
Exactly. Yeah, means not selected. Yes. So the point is that how do you feel when somebody says, I'll call you back and never calls back? Have you heard your mother or father telling you, you've told your parents, I'll call you back in 5 minutes and you forget? And they come back and taunt you. You said you will call back in 5 minutes, but you haven't called us back, right? How many times you've heard that, right? Imagine, and how do you feel when somebody says, I'll call you back and they don't call back? How do you feel about it? Anybody can type in the chat. How do you feel when people say, I'll call you back and don't call back? Annoyed, right? We feel annoyed. We feel upset. We feel neglected. We feel they don't care, right? So similarly, if a candidate gets this experience that people tell the candidate that we'll get back, but actually don't get back, the candidate feels annoyed, right? So what we are here to do is that we are improving candidate experience because a chatbot or a virtual assistant always gets back, right? It always gets back. It always goes back. Sorry. Yeah, it always goes back. So that is something that we talk about. Yes, Kritika, we feel disheartened. Very good. So we improve candidate experience, we streamline the communication process, and we create a personalized and efficient recruitment journey that attracts, that retains top talent. And we also automate all the recruitment tasks. So engagement with candidate actually improves by using artificial intelligence. Going back to resume screening. Resume screening is very simple. hundreds and hundreds of resumes can be done quickly, efficiently. They match and they give you a matching score, right? And you realize after 2, 3 rounds that maybe my matching score is wrong. It is nothing wrong. And we always use machine learning, which means, unlike a human being, the machine keeps on learning, right? And it also can say, if somebody says, I'm in HR, it says that it can also do recruitment. So the natural language processing capabilities can happen, right? And we can get top talent, we can save time, effort, and job. Now, what happens when everybody is competing with top talent, right? So there's a Google is competing, Microsoft is competing, everybody has this virtual assistant. So who will win? My question is, if everybody uses technology, who will get the top candidate? So everybody has the same technology or similar technology. Person who has better technology will get a better candidate. Person who writes the job description better will get the better candidate. And of course, person who pays more, right, will always get the better candidate. Uh, Technology, sorry, can I go back? So by machine learning algorithms, we can quickly identify top talents. We save time and effort, but we also improve quality. And the technology is objective. There are no biases, right? And there's a fairness, right? So recruitment is becoming bias-free. It's becoming efficient. It's becoming high quality. And you don't need to have 5, 6 people. Even a machine can do the job. So it is also becoming intelligent. How do we source candidates, right? Sourcing is very time consuming. If anybody has looked at the resumes, anybody has done hiring, you will know that some positions don't get closed. And also, there's always a fight. You've not hired me the right person. You've not given, I cannot deliver this output because I don't have a right person to do this. So with the help of software, we can search not only active candidates, not only active and passive candidates are. There are some candidates who are looking for solution jobs. There's some candidates who are not looking for jobs. So we can get active candidates, we can get passive candidates from social media databases or any keywords that we use. So the jobs are matched on number 1, skills, number 2, experience, and number 3, preferences. And we get a fit for each job. The interview process are transformed, because traditional interview will be, hello, how are you? So now imagine there are 5 interviewers and they're assessing different candidates. One interviewer are asking different question, one is asking different question. Even if you give them same question to ask, the way they analyze the question, the way they interpret, and the way they interpret the answers can be different. AI tools these days can administer test assessments. They can also read facial expressions, speech analysis, and sentiments. How am I feeling? And AI can come to know. This is dangerous, right? Right now, I'm feeling happy, but I'm not so happy that people are not asking me questions, right? We always need to have diverse candidates. So human bias elimination can try to give us very diverse candidates as we go along. We do not do a demographic one, right? So we see we'll get the best candidate. We are not worried whether this candidate is diverse or whether this candidate belongs to which pool or does not belong to which pool. One of the things that you have to know that if you are recruiting for an organization, you need to recruit the best possible candidate for the organization. You don't need to recruit the person you like. There are one kind of biases that are evident, right? Means you like fair people, you like English-speaking people, you like people who are from Himachal Pradesh, right? So that is an evident bias, but there's subconscious bias. For my subconscious bias is I like people who speak well. So I just get like, even if the person knows a little less, but speaks well, speaks good English, presents well. So this is my unconscious bias. So how can I eliminate it? I have to program a machine or a virtual assistant who does an unbiased job of hiring people. I have 2 more minutes. I have just one more slide to present, and then I can open it for asking any questions that you may have. So insights that are driven by artificial intelligence. So insights that are driven solely by artificial intelligence about talent acquisition, recruitment. We help finding the best possible. Why? First is they expand the search. You get people that you may not have ever found. The existing candidates which will have escaped your notice. Then we also get a lot of suggestions of adjacencies. Maybe you're not getting this kind of a candidate, but you can get that kind of a candidate. Also, you come to know whether the candidate wishes to join. What are the candidates expecting? Are they expecting more salary? And then we also get trends. So after we've hired for 1 month, we know what kind of candidates join us, what are the candidates saying, why are people not joining us? So we get a lot of these things while we are doing the recruitment process using artificial intelligence. In the end, how do we overcome this challenge? We have to ensure that data privacy and security is very important. When a candidate has applied for us, we need not share the data and facts with everybody. Also, there's a lot of resistance from HR who feel that they will lose their job. So it's important that the roles and human interaction works best. Artificial intelligence also needs a lot of data to learn how they screen candidates, and it can also learn a lot about human biases. So that is all from the masterclass from me today. If there are any questions, anything, I'm happy to answer all of you. I think one of the things that you have to learn, one day will come when machines will take over. One day will come when a virtual assistant will hire. But till that time, we have to keep teaching the machines, and our job is to make sure machines keep learning and we validate. Remember the example? First, it was the rear view mirror, then the car camera, and now we don't need to look back. So a time will come, not immediately, but very soon, when we need to continuously see what is happening. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's been such a delight talking to you. And I'm glad we interacted via chat. So more questions and more questions are most welcome. Mr. Roche, Dr. Varun, Chitkara, anybody?
Ma'am, one question.
Yes.
Interesting concept that you have picked up, and there were certain things that we never imagined would also be happening. On the internal side of the organizations, when the AI and technology is adopted, since you've been leading the organizations, are there some internal challenges within the organization which are emerging up?
Yes, because everybody, so in an organization, and it must be happening at Chitkara also, everybody feels their role is very important. So the moment you take power away and give it to the machine, there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of resistance among recruiters. So what happens is recruiters refuse to use the software. They start using Excel sheets. So the software has to work. So adaptation to software is a major challenge. Plus, they will try to prove it wrong one way or the other. Rather than making machine learn, they'll try to prove, oh, it's wrong. They're giving wrong results. Let's dump it. Thank you, everybody. I enjoyed myself. Thank you.